Howdy. This is the Views from the Shop podcast. I'm your host, your one and only host, Tim Miller. And today it is Saturday, April 11th, 2026. And I wish you a very, very, very happy National Clean Up Your Pantry Day. On today's show, Ohio State got a second commitment in the transfer portal last night after landing Cal transfer Justin Pippen in the portal earlier on in Friday. Late last night, it is announced Ohio State has landed Kentucky transfer Andrija Jelavic from Kentucky and also Croatia. So he comes in as a rising sophomore to the Buckeyes today. We're going to talk about the impact that he has at Ohio State. We'll also talk about his fit. We'll talk about what we like, what we don't like, what we have questions on, things like that, and where Ohio State goes from here as the Buckeyes land a new 4, 5? Hard to say. We'll talk about the position he'll play for Ohio State moving forward. If you're new here, this is the only Ohio State basketball exclusive podcast covering the Buckeyes year-round. Preview, recap, every game they play during the season, during the transfer portal. You've seen it probably at this point, covering the Buckeyes constantly. No matter what happens, we're here to cover it. And then the summer guest series happens in the offseason. Jake Diebler will be on the show. Other coaches will be on the show. Players, former players, media members, all those different types of things. Telling stories, sharing what they're working on, stuff like that. It's very, very fun. Please like the video if you're watching right now on YouTube or on Twitter. Like the video on YouTube. It's very, very helpful when you do that. And also get to the Substack, Views from the Shop podcast.substack.com. It's essential that you get there. Why? Well, because covering the team, and you're going to get a bunch of basically notifications when anything happens. And in addition, I'm going to post a new article. So last week, I think it was Sunday or Monday, I posted an article on some players I expected Ohio State to be in on when the portal opened. One of those, Jalen Harrelson. What's going on with him? I don't know. But that was a player included. And then another player included in there, they're in on. Another player, not really in on. Another player we've heard rumors about, Aiden Sherrill. And Devin Brown was one of the players as well that I listed there. So there's some good stuff there. I highly recommend you get to the Substack, Views from the Shop podcast.com. I'm going to post another article today. It will be paid with an updated list of players that Ohio State's going to be in on. Okay. You're not here to talk about the Substack. You're not here to talk about anything other than Yelovich. Andrija Jelavic is the player that the Buckeyes land. Let's get into kind of the background of who he is and stuff like that as we get into it here on today's show. Happy Saturday. Happy weekend to you. Happy Saturday morning to you. Thanks for being here. So, again, like the video on YouTube, please, and subscribe on YouTube. Want to get to 500 subscribers before we're at the end of the transfer portal window. Okay, let's get into it. So, Yelovich is a 6'11" rising sophomore. He comes into Ohio State from Kentucky, originally from Croatia. Ohio State's front court now, by the way, contains two Croatians in Yelovich and Ivan Negovin, a Nigerian in Josh Ojawuna, and Amari Bynum, obviously an American who just jumps out of the gym. And then there's just Alex Smith coming in this year. Just your classic Columbus kid, super tall, super lengthy. But for guys like me, I guess I would say, not a big guy, or guys who just play in America and you can't jump out of the gym, or you're just not from America, good luck being in Ohio State's front court at this point. They're going all over the globe to build out the front court is Ohio State. Played in the same league, did Yelovich, as the Ivisic brothers and all of those Balkan ballers. So exact same league. Am I saying that it's the exact same player quality? No, of course I'm not saying that. But just so you know, that's the level of player that you're getting here from Yelovich coming into Ohio State. As we talk about just the overall stats from Yelovich, look, 5.5 points per game, 0.7 assists per game, 4 rebounds per game, not bad. Against Division I opponents, those were his stats in 15.6 minutes per game for Kentucky last year as a freshman. And he started in 20 games as well. So, look, like, when you look at the numbers, and you look at the reaction I guess we'll address that to start. You look at the reaction of fans getting a guy that no one had probably heard of before this. Now, in the insider subscriber chat, they knew. I told them, I said, hey, familiarize yourself with this name. I said that earlier yesterday, well before the commitment was announced. But you see the name and you see the stats, and initially you're just like, what do you want me to do with this, right? Like the numbers overall, they're not that impressive. They're not that special. But it's a guy from Kentucky, I guess. And the reaction overall was pretty negative. I think we all know that. But here's what I'll say. You've got to look at the market share stats when you have a player who is at 15.6 minutes per game, starts in 20 games. What we do see when you look at the market share numbers are, number one, he was a very good rebounder. You have to look at the rates. You have to look at the per 40 to get there. But 9.9% offensive rebounding rate, that's really, really good. 18.3% defensive rebounding rate is solid as well. 70th percentile in offensive rebounds per 40 minutes last year at Kentucky, and 82nd percentile in defensive rebounds per 40 minutes at Kentucky last year. So as you look at the rebounding numbers, the rebounding share, for example, those numbers overall pretty solid for Yelovich at Kentucky. So that's a good thing. 14 points per 40 minutes as well. That's above average. It's not elite, but you're coming in and you're getting a center who's not the number one overall center in the class, right? Like, I mean, there's going to be some give and take with a player like that. That's who Yelovich is at this point. So, outside of the rebounding, you also look at just games in which he produced. He scored 10 plus 4 times last year at Kentucky. 2 of those games came against SEC opponents in LSU and South Carolina. Shout out Michi and shout out Marcus. And that's all I'll say about that. 67.5% from inside the arc. Gaudy 77% at the rim. That is insanely productive numbers at the rim. It's more than elite. And then 60% in the paint is even better. That's like LeBron in high school. LeBron playing high school competition. 60% of the paint is really, really, really good for Yelovich. Here's the problem, though, from Yelovich. It is the three-point shooting. It's not there, okay? And any way you slice this, look, I think you know me at this point. If you watch the show enough, you know that I'm going to try to take a pretty balanced approach here when it comes to Yelovich or any player at Ohio State. The three-point percentage was not there. And I looked for, hey, did he get better down the stretch? No, he did not. Did he not shoot enough three-pointers? Does the 27.6% from behind the arc not mean anything because he didn't have enough volume? No. It means something. 27.6% from behind the arc last season. He got worse down the stretch, 22% over his final 10 games, and he made 1 out of 10. 10% over his final 5 games for Kentucky. The good thing for Yelovich, I guess, is that he never stopped firing. He never stopped shooting. He had the confidence. Mark Pope said, hey, man, just keep going. Keep going. They'll fall. They will fall. And I will say, I'm not an expert here, so you literally should not care what I'm about to say. His stroke looks okay. It doesn't look bad. When I see his shots go up from watching him, I watched him a fair amount yesterday, I guess I would say, or yeah, it was yesterday. I didn't get his name until Thursday night, but the shots just look like they didn't fall. It's not like he's just way off. Not like they were ugly shots. They weren't falling for Yelovich. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth, I guess, at this point. This is your stretch big, though. This is something I told insider subscribers, is that Ohio State was going to go out and try to get a big who could stretch the floor. That's who Yelovich is at this point. You can debate all day 17 different ways of what position he is. Is he a power forward or a center? I don't really think it matters. He's a stretch big. Now, he's probably more of a 4 than he is a 5 in terms of his overall play style. You're going to look back and you're going to think of Christoph Tilly, for example, and probably not be very happy when I bring up Christoph Tilly, because a lot of fans didn't love Christoph Tilly. I thought Tilly was okay. That's why I said at the end of the season in the grades that I gave out to players, I thought he was okay. I think I gave him a C or a C minus, something like that. I didn't think he was necessarily horrible. I also didn't think he was great, but the play style is something that is really, really similar here. This is what I told insider subscribers. They're going to go try to find a player like that. That's exactly what they found. They want to find a guy who could complement Josh Ojabuna and Ivan Negovin, which we'll talk about later in the show. 81st percentile three-point attempt rate. So he will shoot the 3-ball. Again, the problem is he had way too much volume to be able to disregard that 3-point percentage. You just break it down in overall shot charts. He was 6 of 20 from the corner. He was 15 of 56 from above the break. So that's who Yelovich was at Kentucky. I'll give you top comps as well. If you're looking for overall play style, like who is he like, I'll get into that as well here. This comes from College Basketball Analytics. I really, really encourage you to get there at cbbanalytics.com. They're not a sponsor of the show. I just love their website. They have sponsored the show in the past, so I will continue to plug them regardless. But you can find this here. Now, I'm only counting Power 5 programs here, but his number one comp, you guys will never, ever believe this, but his number one comp, and what this is taking is it's taking play style of like 3-point attempt rate, assist rate, where you're scoring, your overall volume, how you're scoring, all those different types of things. Who is this guy similar to? Number one is Chris Sinak Jr. from Houston, who's going to the NBA draft. In terms of play style, I'm not saying production, I'm not saying talent, I'm just saying play style. That's the number one comp, according to College Basketball Analytics. A couple other guys, Connie Roos from Louisville, Jaden Toombs from SMU, and then Akor from Mississippi State. Those are all Power 5 players that I'm talking about there. Now, the closest comp in Big Ten play, do you want to guess? Would you like to guess? You're probably thinking, oh, I don't know, probably a guy from Illinois, for example. That may be where your mind goes. And I wouldn't blame you for that. Actually, I think he was pretty similar to an Illinois player in terms of Big Ten players. But the most similar comp, believe it or not, it's Amari Bynum. Amari Bynum was the most similar comp to Yelovich in terms of Big Ten players over the past year. So take that for what it is worth, I guess. That's the overall play style here. I know you guys are lighting me up in the comments right now. I'll try to address some of those at the end of the show. So let's just get into, I guess, my verdict here on Yelovich. Again, the reaction on him was, I get it. I completely understand. There's really no trust in Jake Diebler. There's no trust that the coaching staff can get the right guys. You look at what they've done in the portal under Jake Diebler, it's not been that successful. So I understand kind of the backlash that a type of move gets, especially like even as I'm tweeting this out. I knew when I put 5.5 points per game in the tweet, this is gonna get some attention, and it did, and that's fine. But again, you have to look at the per 40, you have to look at the rates, you have to look at the market share stats, not just sheer volume. At the same time, I get the reaction. Here's the thing. This is a player who started 20 games on a team that made the NCAA tournament and went further than Ohio State. I also think that he's a perfect stylistic fit and complement to Ivan Negovin and to Josh Ojabuna in terms of what Ohio State needed in the front court. I think that's definitely true. He also runs the floor extremely well. 2.9 fast break points per 40 minutes is elite. Still, I will say I'm just a little underwhelmed overall from the move. What I was expecting, I think what all of us were expecting, I said this, I think other people had said this as well, like credible sources, is that Yelovich or who Ohio State was going after was not just going to be a stretch 5, but it was going to be a player that could compete with Josh Ojabuna. And maybe Ohio State still sees him in that way in terms of Yelovich. I don't know. And in terms of the overall, the player that you're getting here, I think that more than anything, this is a potential grab. It's not a production grab for Ohio State at this point. And the question is, what does Ohio State get out of him? He was a real life NBA prospect coming out of Croatia and heading into Kentucky. He played at Kentucky, not Eastern Illinois, as you're watching, or Eastern Illinois, sorry, as you're watching on YouTube right now. That's not who he went to commit to. So Kentucky saw the fit. A bunch of other really, really good programs saw the fit. So you're looking at the potential. The questions are, what if Ohio State brings out that NBA potential? What if the play style that Ohio State has fits better with Yelovich than Kentucky did? Can he become a better perimeter defender? Can he become a better shooter? Can he continue to score really well on the inside and rebound really well on the inside? If so, this will work out for Ohio State. I think just for me, okay, my opinion on the matter at this point is it's okay to say I don't know. I think that it's so hard in this day and age to just sit here and watch something happen and not have a knee-jerk reaction. My opinion on Yelovich is that it's okay to just say, I don't know how this is going to work out for Ohio State at this point. I know everyone goes back to Aaron Bradshaw. This is not similar in any regard to Aaron Bradshaw. I'm not even going to address that. They played similar positions and they wore the same jersey, and now they're playing for Ohio State. These are two completely different players. The behind-the-scenes stuff with Bradshaw before he got to Ohio State and while he was at Ohio State automatically disqualifies the comparison between him and Yelovich. So I'm not even going to get into that. But what I will say is the reaction from fans. How many of you saw him play at Kentucky, knew a lot about him, and on the flip side, how many of you just saw the stats, saw the numbers, and you were like, 5.5 points per game, he sucks? I think that that's probably a lot of fans out there. And if that's the way that you want to react, that's totally fine. It's just, that's not how I'm going to treat it. I'm going to treat it as, I'm a little underwhelmed, but I'm willing to see this through, okay? And again, I get the negativity behind Jake Diebler and the additions that he's made in the transfer portal. I cannot argue against that. I can't. There's no way that I can argue that Jake Diebler has had a lot of success in the transfer portal. But I'm willing to say right now that, look, I don't know. I don't have an answer on how this fits for Ohio State. At the same time, what if he's good? What if this works out after all for the Buckeyes? That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. It could work out, and then a lot of people are going to look not that smart. So that's what I'll say there. And I'm sure people have plenty of comments. I will get to them here in a second. So here's the thing, okay? With Ohio State's front court at this point, I believe they're done. I don't believe they're making any more additions in the front court. I think this is it for Ohio State in terms of making any changes at power forward and at center at this point. So because of that, if they are finished, questions about the front court. What do you like? What do you not like? I question rim protection at this point. You've got Ngovin with a 4.1% block rate last year. Ojawuna had a 3.4% block rate in his final year at Baylor, but that was before the ACL injury. Now you're after the ACL injury. Took a full year to recover. Where is the explosion? Where does that lie at this point with him at Ohio State coming back from that ACL, full year off? Both of those numbers are fine. They're not great. Yelovich should not have an impressive block rate whatsoever as well. And I think defensively as a whole, probably not the strength for Yelovich. I would say offensively is more the strength for him. Rim protection, though, it's more about block rate. A lot of times it's about size. It's about length. It's about overall scheme. And I look at Amari Bynum. I look at Anthony Thompson, two guys with great size and length. Alex Smith as well. Ojabuna, Nigavon, and now Yelovich. All those names, they've got good size. I think there's potential that they're going to be able to really play well down low in the paint in the Big Ten, where, by the way, Ojawuna is a huge player. He's a mammoth of a human. You're not going to move him. You're just not going to move him down low. So I think there's potential that goes well. At the same time, I think that you also have play styles that complement one another with Yelovich and with Ojawuna and Ngovin. I mentioned that already. I think that works. I think that Alex Smith, Amari Bynum at the 4, I think those guys work and they complement each other as well. I don't know what Alex Smith's role and minutes will look like this year for Ohio State, but I like all of that. And I think you do have inside scoring. You trust Yelovich, one of the best 2-point shooters in the nation this year. I also trust Amari Bynum. I think we all trust Amari Bynum playing that dunker's role and playing in that dunker spot. And then Ojawuna, he was 99th percentile in 2-point percentage in his final year at Baylor before going down due to injury. So I think this front court, it could be solid. I think especially with Amari Bynum, we got to remember, Bynum, the way he played down the stretch was elite for Ohio State. He was absolutely excellent for Ohio State. He steps into his sophomore year. I think that is absolutely huge. I think that the overall mixing and matching of guys at center, it's going to work well. I think you can see Yelovich and Bynum on the floor at the same time. I think you can also see Yelovich and Ojawuna on the floor at the same time. And if that's the case, that's a really, really good front court, I think, potentially for Ohio State in terms of rebounding, offensive production, overall paint protection, things like that. It could be really, really solid. But again, a little underwhelmed on Yelovich. So you can let me know in the comments your excitement level on getting Yelovich, scale from 1 to 10. So at this point, where do we go moving forward for Ohio State. Now that you've got Yelovich, I think Ohio State's going to pivot now and finish out the backcourt. So they get Justin Pippen yesterday. I think he could start. He may come off the bench. I don't know what that's going to look like for Ohio State. I know there was so much chatter about that yesterday. I'm just going to hand up. I don't know. I don't think the coaching staff knows either at this point. I think it's also okay to just say, I don't know sometimes on a lot of different things rather than just coming out and saying what's going to happen. I'm willing to say, I don't know, man. I'm willing to say it. And if you're looking for the intel or whatever on that, I don't know. I think Pippen could start. I think he may not start, but I think Ohio State's going to continue to go after some backcourt depth here at guard. Like I said, I'm gonna post an article on the Substack. It will be paid, just FYI, but I will post an article on the Substack today in terms of who else is Ohio State going after, who are they pursuing, who could I see them getting at this point. So look out for that if you are on the Substack and if you're a paid subscriber, also known as an insider subscriber. So that's where Ohio State goes from here. Let's get into some comments. I got a feeling this may get yucky. How do you even get into all this? There's so much. Let's start with Caleb, friend of the show. He says he's about a 4 out of 10 excitement level on Yelovich. He'd give Jake Diebler a C+. I know there's still time to get better. There is time to get better. I think C+ is probably fair at this point. It's just we're 2 days in. Well, we're 2 days into the dead period being over, I guess. Barely even 2 days into it. So I completely understand if someone feeling a little underwhelmed about this and about the portal season overall. I went to bed feeling pretty underwhelmed too. So I completely understand that at that point. Caleb, thanks for the comment. Dominic, I don't know much about Yelovich, but I read some articles. He's not that great on defense. I don't want a repeat of Tilly. 100%. I agree with that. 100%. I already said that on the show. I don't think that he's necessarily going to be great on defense. I think offense is more of his strength. Can he take that step? We'll see. Aaron says, I suppose all of our NIL spent went towards retention. No, not all of it. No, not all of it. A lot of it did. A lot of it went toward Anthony Thompson, John Mobley Jr., Amari Bynum. Those are your proven commodities, so I completely understand it going that way. I don't know the exact numbers. I don't think any of us ever will. But it is what it is at this point. All right, let's keep scrolling here. Let's find something. Man, you guys are you're active in the chat. The CT Foster 01. A little positivity never hurt anyone. We got a lot of spots to fill. It's true. It's okay to be a little positive. I can't disagree with that. At Outcasts, there are 2 better than what they've lost. These are 2 better than what they've lost. I don't want to see any more 6'5" power forwards. Yeah, Devin Royal did play power forward, at 6'6" for Ohio State in his first 2 years. That's definitely true. Jimmy Williams. Maybe he would be a good addition. I wouldn't be opposed to it. And I think Ohio State is probably still in on him at this point. Let's keep going here. Man, you guys are crazy. G Money 3527 says 2 out of 10 excitement level on Yelovich. I get it. I'm not mad at anyone for that. All right, I'm gonna scroll a lot. Guards are the key. They will change the game. I 100% understand on that. I do believe that Ohio State at this point, they've got to go get real good backcourt depth at this point. At Ohio State 74, no one talks about his coaches. I feel, what do you want me to say? I feel like I talk about his coaches all the time. Talk about Walsh. Talk about Justice when he was at Ohio State, obviously. I've talked about Simons. I don't really talk much about Dickerson. I feel like I talk about, when I talk about coaches, I talk about the connections recruiting-wise. So that's where I get into talking about the coaches. Do I think Miles Harrell will get playing time, or will it be garbage minutes like Nash and Grujic? I think it's garbage minutes. That would be my guess. Who are they looking at to replace Joel Justice? I don't know. And I don't think that it will be announced until after the portal window has closed. That's my guess there. Fieger Law. I don't know, man. I have a feeling that's a burner. I get a good feeling that's a burner. Bynum might be our best shot blocker. Yeah, I think Bynum is Ohio State's best shot blocker. I do believe that 100%. All right, any other questions? you can drop them here. If not, we'll get out of here. I want you to enjoy your Saturday. I want you to know that Ohio State is still obviously working down behind the scenes. They're looking to go get additional players in the backcourt. That's where you should turn your focus. But Yelovich is the guy now for Ohio State at kind of power forward, kind of at center, probably more so at center for Ohio State. We'll see how the Buckeyes adjust with him in the rotation in the upcoming season. Okay, again, if you don't mind, do you mind if I just plug the chat one more time? Let me get in here and let me share it to you if you're watching live. This is where you need to go. Okay? If you want updates, if you want insider information, you want intel, if you want stuff behind the scenes, I just dropped that in the chat. I would highly, highly recommend that you get there because I'm going to post something later today, and then I'm posting stuff all day, kind of behind the scenes stuff. What am I hearing and stuff like that. So I would recommend you get there. I'm going to drop an article there later on today on who Ohio State is still after. Okay. We will see what happens next. I don't know if Ohio State's going to get a commitment today. They might. I think that they're in a really good spot with a couple of different players. It's at this point kind of both the player deciding is Ohio State the fit, and for Ohio State, it's deciding which of these guys are the best fits for us, money-wise or role-wise or whatever. I think that's where Ohio State is. I think they're definitely in the final stretches at this point of the portal, and I think that they get this done pretty quickly. The bulk of the work has been done, I guess I would say, at this point. So, one more question here that I'll address, okay? Do I think that Ohio State's still in the running for Harrelson? Just saw Rothstein said that Ohio State's in the top 3 with North Carolina and Tennessee. Two schools I'm not aware of being in on Harrelson, although his recruitment has been very, very quiet. Like, I haven't seen anything publicly shared about Jalen Harrelson. And again, like, if you look at my Twitter, I'm not sharing anything unless it's public. I don't want to be speculating wildly on Twitter, so that's why I'm a little bit more quiet on Twitter during the portal at this point. Does it hurt my impressions and chance to get followers? Yes, but that's okay. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make at this point. I really don't know where Ohio State stands with Harrelson at this point. I think we'll find out in the coming days. I think that's one that's coming to a close here as well. So we will see on him. Alrighty. Thanks so much for being here. Enjoy your Saturday. Let it be fun for you. Let the transfer portal be fun. Let it be known that whether you're mad or not, it's not going to change anything about how Ohio State plays this year. So I guess you can be optimistic or you can be pessimistic. I don't care what you do, man. Most people want to be pessimistic, and that's fine. I try to take the realistic route. People don't like that. So anyways, all right, thanks for being here. Appreciate you a bunch. Like the video on YouTube. I said on the last show with the Justin Pippen announcement, we wanted to get to 100 likes on that video. I think we probably got pretty close to that, if not eclipsing that. I think we can get to 100 likes on this one. I just didn't bring it up enough. So please like the video on YouTube. I will link it one more time. If you're watching on Twitter, please jump over there. Give the video a like and subscribe as well. And if you're listening on pod, you should like the video on YouTube too. And you know that. All right, until next time, I shut up before you shut me off. Thanks for watching today, and go Bucks.